Good morning, everyone. It's time for Muse Life, and welcome to this morning activation reading. You guys, we do this every Wednesday morning, unless it's during the full moon or during a new moon, then we tend to skip it. And we were currently in the middle of the waning moon this morning, waning crescent. It's a week after the last full moon, you guys. And today the moon is in Gemini. So it's definitely a very cool-headed sign. There's a lot of communication and creativity that we can kind of hone into this particular energy, and it's really airy, so we tend to move from one thought to another and one idea to another quite quickly because air is about mind. It is 7/3 and it is the 8th year, you guys. So today is the 9th day. It's a 9-day, which is ruled by Aries. 9 is ruled by Aries, so we're definitely getting some of that Aries energy. Think about ambition, confidence, and discipline, everyone. And it's really a powerful, significant sign, but there's also some things we kind of have to be careful with the Aries sign is things like stubbornness and aggression, which we have to avoid. But definitely with the 9 number, we're kind of honing in on living a lot more meaningfully and thoughtfully and more direct. Some of the Aries energy that's really going into that. So let's move into our reading this morning, everyone. I want you all to kind of hone in, and I want you to set your intentions for this week. What does the universe want to let us know? What are we using to help guide us? And I want you all to just imagine that you are all part of this great, vast, amazing crystalline grid here on the face of the universe that covers the whole of the earth and beyond. Imagine that you're all part of this beautiful collective, and set your intentions on what the universe wants us to know today, guys. We're going to go a little old school right now. We're going to use our original tarot deck. So just have in mind what the universe wants us to know as we go into this reading. And I brought back our map cards, you guys. I really enjoyed the imagery and the beauty of these cards. I really love them so much. Let me know where everyone's coming from, how you're doing this morning as we enter into this reading, you guys. It's been a really crazy week. I just came back from a show in San Antonio. We'll be starting to do shows once a month in San Antonio. I will post them. Usually they're pretty fun. They have some really fun themed events going on there, and they're really just an amazing way to kind of, connect and get in touch with everyone. And I will do some quick readings for everyone on those days. I'll post them on my Facebook page, you guys. If you like and follow, please do, and you can kind of know what's going on. I also have a shop where I have some amazing things. I have some crystals, and I actually have these handmade candles that I make. They're all chakra candles, depending on which chakra you would like to work on. They're infused with chakra oils, and you even have like a little place card here that kind of tells you what's in it, what it's good for, and just how to utilize some of that chakra energy. So I definitely sell these at my shop as well as some of my pop-ups. So feel free to join me on that, you guys. So let me go ahead and let's start our reading. Where are we today, you guys? What's going on? Where's the energy at? Here we have is the Four of Pentacles. Oh, we're going back to some of our earthly things. And that's not so bad, you guys. There's a lot of desire and need for long-term security here, you guys. Sometimes we kind of have to, be careful, not to fall into the trappings of wanting to be too greedy with some of the things that we're trying to accomplish in life. Obviously, security is really good, but right now we're just thinking about security and safety. And we're holding on so tight to what that is in the material sense, right? Without remembering where we're coming from, right? This is a very earthly sign. So think Capricorns. Primarily that because we're very good with money. Think the Tauruses. And then also think of some of the balances, think a little bit of like the balance, more mellow nature of the Virgo. So I'm getting a lot of that. So right now, yeah, we're really just being really earthly, just really like focusing on just some of the things in our material realm. It isn't necessarily bad, but we also kind of have to remember not to, get too stuck in that. So here we are. And the 4 is all about balance, you guys, and just foundations and really building that foundation right now. So a lot of us are kind of there. We're trying to build our foundations. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of earthly energy. What's really nice right now, because we are sitting right in the middle of Gemini, though, is Gemini is all about creativity, right? And just really like honing in on some of that, communicative energy. So we can use some of that to kind of help guide us through getting our foundations right, setting everything in stone like we need to. And, just remember, I mean, this is the earthly realm. We operate on all different planes. But in that sense, just remember that, those kind of things, like our communication with other people, as well as some of the creativity that sparks from this air sign right now that's going on with the, Moon Gemini. Just, feel into that. And also, we are currently in Cancer season, you guys. We're smack in the middle of it. It's very emotional, very intuitive, and tap into that intuition and some of those emotions. Sometimes we can, there's 2 ways that we can get into it. We sometimes can drown in those feelings and emotions and really let it like soak in, or we can just use them as guideposts to kind of navigate, how and where we want to go moving forward, right? So just kind of use all some of these tools, some of these amazing, beautiful tools that the universe, the earth, and the collective just really brings to us. They're all here for us, for our good, our better good. So always just remember that whenever you're making any decisions in life, even when you're like building the foundations of where you need to go, right? Okay, and something that we've been recently going through, like just, juggling through or going through in just the recent past. My readings usually are within the week or month. You can always go a little further with me. I do private readings. You guys, if you're interested, please reach out. So we have here is the Knight of Wands. There's a lot of fire in this sign right now, right, guys? And I like it. It's charging through. And here we have the desert, right? Going through like some of the earthly realm, but we're also kind of like hitting some of that spiritual stuff. So he's definitely on the challenge. He's definitely trying to get somewhere in his current, his current thing. It's very free-spirited. There's a lot of creativity here. And when you're bringing some of that air energy, and air and fire can really be very, 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 very like, explosive. So we have some of that energy right now. We got some fire Leo energy. We got some more of that chameleon, more of that salamander there, you guys. I kind of consider them both. I like the chameleon because the chameleon is changeable. It adapts to its environment, whatever it needs to be. And I love that. There are a lot of Leo energy there. Leos are pretty adaptive. Maybe in the Leo sign, I can kind of get that, I kind of need to like know how to blend in with the certain situations and people. But it is the symbol of the salamander, and what you're really getting there is someone who can navigate through both the earthly and watery spiritual elements back and forth. So this person's on a journey. He's on a journey for not only understanding, the things that are going on the earth, the earthly side, but also understanding some of the things that are happening in the more esoteric side as well. He's heading towards that, some spiritual, like, some spiritual, plight, if you want to really think about it that way. So, and it's definitely he's moving forward. So I feel like a lot of us are really moving forward into our challenges in life and some of our goals, right? Because here we are, as we're trying to build our stability. And this is just something like we sometimes need to be able to like really come at it with a fiery energy, very like, okay, gung-ho, like I gotta get this done kind of energy. And I think that's what's happening is some of us are building our foundation, some of us are starting new projects or starting new careers or doing something new, and we really have it in our head that letting that fiery energy kind of bring us through that or to that, right? And what it was helping in us, what is something that's influencing that? And I love that. Lovers, partnerships, the 2 of Cups. So relationships, of course it just makes sense, right? Not only is this card, it's very close to the Lover's card, and there's some more Leo energy there too. There's a little bit more, like, there's some hermetic, idealism as well. But not only is this card about, like, romantic love and partnerships, but it's also about, partnerships with people. It's very, like, tapping into your both feminine and masculine elements. And Cups is very water energy. Right now we're in the middle of the Cancer season. So think of, like, tapping into your intuition and your feelings and letting that guide you. And definitely that's what guides most of us, right? Well, I mean, really, when we're moving forward, trying to create security for ourselves and our family and the people we love and care about, right? When you're really moving towards that and trying to set your foundations for that. Because here we are, you guys. This is like, we're in the middle of, like, the 888 season, and we're in the middle of, like, really, like, coming into, like, Lionsgate, and creating some of that affluence and abundance that we've been, really heading towards, right? But that all starts with foundations. And, in order, what really, helps to motivate us? Why do we even do anything in the first place? And it always has to do with our partnerships, our love relationships, our near centers, and the things that are closest to our heart. There's a lot of hermetic energy here too. We have to alchemize all of that in order to, like, create these foundations of relationships within people. We have to alchemize some of those emotional feelings that we have. Both are feminine and masculine energies. And it's interesting, there's a lot of Leo energy there. Leo is all about loyalty and passion, as well as, just protection. It does all of that. There's a lot of, like, Leo energy there because, when it comes to the family and relationships, Leo is, that's one of its traits. So as we move forward, so interesting. Love that. Love how, we're charging, moving forward, using learning fire energy as we're heading towards some of that, the summer into our Leo season, right? Or our eight Lionsgate. We're heading towards that. Kind of really starting to understand why we're doing it and who we're doing it for. And these are the things that are close to your heart. You get relationships and people that are close to your heart. So think about some of those things that are going on right now and who and what those are, right? And I'm sure something will come up because something always will. Here we go. In the foundations here in the earthly realm. What's to come? Here he is. Today's just more of an interesting kind of lesson day, and I like that. It doesn't always have to be so serious with us, some of the arcana cards, and, like, to the point. Sometimes that card just tells what we need to know for this week. So we have another Sevens card now, and then Swords is all air. So here's some Gemini, and there's some trickster energy here. Gemini has that feel too. Sometimes it has a lot of trickster duality type of energy, you guys. And I don't necessarily think it's necessarily bad. I just think that you need to be able to see it for what it is and know it when you see it. And just kind of realize that that's what it is, and go with it, because a lot of times we're looking at the world in our 3D perspective, but when you start looking outside of that, like the 4 and 5D kind of sense, you really start to see what's going on and how it really happens. So here we have, we have a little bit of trickster energy here. You got a little bit of betrayal, dishonesty, somebody running away from something, somebody getting away with something they probably really shouldn't be, right? So what's going on here? And this, like I said, this is number 7. So 7's already kind of tapping into the spiritual. I see a lot. I always sense this. And like I said, this is a lot of air energy, which is all about mind and intellect, which is also reminding us that a lot of this is just in our mind. Some of the things that, you feel, some of these negative feelings of, either betrayal or some, just things going on. If you start seeing these negative, like, connotations in your signs, because I also, I believe we're all creationists, that we all create our reality. And if these kind of cards start coming up, that's when you really need to start looking inward and kind of trying to understand, well, what in me is afraid of losing anything? The universe is abundant. The universe gives abundance. So why would we feel that anybody's really taking anything from us, right? Why would we feel that anybody's really taking advantage or stealing from us or any of that? The universe will always give more. But of course, it's always good to kind of look out for the things that are, there's a thing, especially when we're starting to do some of our inner healing, where we need to kind of give to ourselves. And the more we do that, it's also kind of, affirming the love for ourselves, right? So I'm kind of curious about this as we move in. Definitely some trickster energy here. Some energy that's making us feel just like anything could be, used in a way that's like dishonest or taken from us or stolen from us or anything like that. There really is no such thing. The universe doesn't operate that way. It does in an illusional sense, because remember, air is about mind, right? But in an illusional sense, but in the overall, you can't really lose. You can't really, nothing can really be taken from you, only in the earthly sense, but even then, this is all just an illusion anyway, you guys, even this particular card. I just wanted to kind of hone in on that, because I get some of the negative cards, and I know what they mean, and I look at them, and I know it's all, that's not necessarily just a lesson for me, but it's a lesson for the whole. This is a collective, right? And I wanted to understand, well, obviously, it's anything that comes into my field, you guys, is meant to be a lesson for me just as well, right? So just remember that. Just remember, there's nothing to truly be taken from you. Everything's like happens for a purpose here in the universe, right? So, and I have a really good story, because I just realized what card's coming up next. So what's going to be helping this, you guys? What's going to help this? What's going to help, like, either, usually it's help or hinder, but I'm seeing a helpful card. What's going to help with this particular energy that might be coming up in the next few weeks? And I kind of get it, you guys. We're smack in the middle of, Cancer. Cancer's a very beautiful, sensitive card, where it's just, but it's also easily wounded. It, sometimes it's a little bit hard to forgive. They tend to close up when they get hurt. So when something like this happens, especially in that, and look at this, the number 7, you guys, the 7, which is the July month, right? Which is primarily the Cancer month, which is interesting. Just, you're getting that sense of like wanting to close in and not being able to open up again because you were wounded in some way. Well, what's going to help with this? What's going to help guide you through this? What's going to help you understand things? And here we have is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beautiful card. The 6 of Pentacles, another very earthly card, but it kind of like tells us how to navigate through this earthly realm as well. And this one's all about giving. The 6 of Pentacles, receiving and generosity. And sometimes, I always say, be careful not to give too much, but this is not what it's meaning right now. It's not meaning, giving more than you can take. It's really, literally understanding that whenever something's taken from you, whenever you think you've been betrayed, whenever anything's happened, just remember, whatever is being taken for you is being given to someone else, right? It's for the better good. Sometimes some of the things that you have aren't necessarily just meant for you. So check this out. It was really interesting, because like I ended up, at my shop, sometimes I give away the wrong change or something like that. I mistaken a 10 for a 1. I'm depending on like, I keep all my change kind of like, in a little baggie, and sometimes I give away more than and one time I did notice that. I'm like, wow, I accidentally gave away, like, instead of giving $1 away, it was a 10, and it wasn't that big of a deal, but I did kind of think to myself, because I remember exactly what it was. It was a child who was buying like a toy from our shop. Sometimes I have little toys I have, and I just like thought to myself, wow, I didn't think, oh my God, at first I did. At first I was like, oh my God, I lost money, I'm losing, and negative stuff, right? But part of me goes, wow, this kid has extra money now to buy more toys. I felt kind of happy for him. I'm like, well, at least he has more. And I thought about that. And that's exactly how these two cards react with each other. Whatever you think you're losing is always going to be to the benefit of someone else, right? And whether bad or good. And sometimes the universe doesn't even give us a choice. And I get that, right? It sucks that they're not giving us a choice. But sometimes it's almost like you have to kind of realize nothing's really ours to begin with anyway. We're all part of this collective. And, like this card, one of the warnings of this card is to really be, not so tight-fisted, worrying about, like, what you have, who you are, your status in the world, not worrying about any of that, or worrying about anybody going to take it. These two cards are really fear-based too. I mean, it's really like, wow, I'm really scared of someone taking something from me, right? And the universe is just like, no one can take anything from you. It's all ours anyway. It all belongs to the collective. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to swallow, because some people, yeah, we do all work really hard for what we get. And trust me, things come first. So, girl, the universe knows your heart. The universe knows why things happen, and happens exactly the way it's supposed to happen. You know? So even me in my line of work, I have to remember and remind myself that I can't always be living in this fear-based sense, afraid of what anything or anyone can take from you. That it's all part of the collective anyway. And check this out, you guys, if it wasn't meant for you, it's not going to stick around anyway. But if it was, it's definitely going to be there no matter what, right? It might not be perfect. We can't have expectations on the outcome, everyone, because things don't always work out the way we need it to in the universe. But good lesson. I have some lessons that I have to learn this week. Just a lot about things that, especially when things don't necessarily work out. I love that. This is a really beautiful lesson, you guys, as we move forward. Just remember, there will be times when you feel that certain things have been taken from you, that certain things didn't work out for you, and someone has betrayed you. There's going to be times when that happens, and you want to kind of like, run away from that. Just remember, everything has a purpose. It's all here for our lessons. Maybe we're meant to learn patience. Maybe we're meant to learn understanding. Maybe we're meant to learn not to hold on too much to an outcome, right? And that's hard for some people. That's hard for me too sometimes, you guys. But, these lessons are not for me just as well. So I got my map deck. I miss you so much. It's always in my shop. I do my readings, and but I love the symbology when I first got into those cards. So we have the 5, which 5 is like, God, the 5 is a really beautiful number. It's literally like, it's all about like, pleasure and adventure, right? And here you got these dolphins. Dolphins are these fun-loving creatures, right? And they're so loving and hospitable. And it's all about having all the elements. There's some travel with that included, and there's definitely some human sensations there, right? So we have the number 5, and that is also ruled by Mercury, you guys, which is who rules Gemini. So we got the number 5 here. We got this airy, cool-headed, communicative thing. And I love, one of the things I like about this, and I'm just trying to read, because, we're talking about communication right now. Mercury is all about communicating with other people, and we always think it has to be through words and sound, although that is so important. I always remember how dolphins, and I think whales also communicates through echo communication, right? I mean, through sound, but there's also, they send out vibes to their head. And we think psychic abilities and being able to like read each other's minds is so silly, but is it? When other animals can do it too, and we just maybe haven't really tapped into how we necessarily do it, but maybe we can. I love the thought of that. I'm getting a lot of dolphin vibes today. I'm getting a lot of that water energy, you guys. My blues. For the water energy for the Cancer, and for some of my Scorpio moon right here. So yeah, it says ride the wave. Don't worry about the outcome of anything, you guys. Things happen the way they're supposed to for whatever reason. And yeah, sometimes we feel like we might be missing out on something. Sometimes we feel like some things didn't necessarily go the right way. But everything happens for a reason. And, not every outcome is not always the end game. There's always so much more. Just learn to ride the wave. Sometimes learn to ride the wave. Sometimes you're going to wipe out. But if you wipe out enough times, and this is one thing I've learned, because I don't surf, but I boogie boarded, and I rode the big waves, you guys. I went out into the ocean and rode the big ones. So just out there with the surfers. And if you wipe out enough times, you eventually will like ride this beautiful, amazing wave, and you'll be right on top where you need to be. Be like cruising, sailing, and having like the ride of your life. Just remember that. So thank you all so much for coming out. I hope that this reading has helped you all. I want to thank you all so much for coming out and sharing this beautiful, wonderful energy with me, guys. I had my shop posted. We had our monthly events in the beautiful San Antonio posted. I thank you all for coming out and sharing this energy with me. I really hope that it helps and inspires you all. You all have an amazing day. Have a wonderful week. Love and light. Bye-bye.